Good evening. I'm Drew Schneider. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to use some of the new emerging technologies, AI, and some other tools to upgrade and enhance your resume, your job search, how to network, and ultimately, through Career Pivot, even how to join a community, people who are looking for jobs or talking about best practices, interview techniques to help people get a job. So tonight we're going to talk about two main things, right? We're going to talk about emerging technology and job options. We're going to talk about, like I said, the state healthcare insurance options. So as a way of overview, as we all know, there's an unemployment crisis blooming in our country, and it's affecting federal workers, international development, and other industries across the economy. Thousands of people who have lost their jobs or may soon lose their job, along with contractors and consultants and other organizations that interact with the government or who are being impacted by ripple effects in the economy. So tonight, our keynote speaker, Wayan Vota, is going to talk about ways to help in this situation. Wayan launched Career Pivot in February 2025 to support those who were laid off or worried that they might be. And since then, the community has continued to grow to more than 13,000 members, with thousands more joining every month into an online community that is focused on building human connections and leveraging generative AI to help them find new jobs and learn new techniques. So those newly unemployed, they're entering a job market that's saturated with others who are already laid off. The best word, as Wayne puts it, to describe this job market is brutal, especially here in DC, where the unemployment rates are hitting multi-decade highs. Wayne curates Career Pivot with his firsthand experience. Wayne lost his job on January 31st, 2025, and he spent 3.5 months in the financial and emotional trauma of unemployment. He's going to talk about getting skills to successfully discover new roles that align with your skills, use AI tools like ChatGPT to update your resume, and hiring coach AI for interview prep. With that, I am going to introduce Mr. Wayan Vota and let him present.
Hey everyone. Um, I would actually like to start by wondering or no, understanding how much you all know about generative AI to begin with. I know that some people are excited about it, some people are kind of scared about it. Um, and Drew, I'm not able to see people if they are chatting in the chat, so maybe we can work on that while not sure what people know. Well, it looks like I can see some people. I see one person said tons. I use it daily. It's my daily companion. That's awesome. Just make sure it's not your only companion. I know there are some people who have gone and graduated to the point of having AI as their significant other. I think that's a little dangerous. We are humans. Let us own and be one with our humanity. So, okay, it seems like people have a understanding of generative AI. So I'm going to skip over. I was thinking of starting this at what is generative AI and how to think about it, but it seems like most people are already there. So I don't have to go too deep into that, which is awesome. I am going to share my screen and get right into the fun stuff then. Do, 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 do. Okay. So hopefully you are seeing my screen. I'm just going to leave it here as a presentation versus getting too deep into it. Um, so there are 7 steps to finding a new job. Now, uh, I want to be clear here that often people feel that they should just sit down and say, "Aha, I see a job ad. I'm going to write a whatchamacallit, I'm going to write a resume and cover letter to that job ad, send it in, and that is the total amount of effort I need to do per job ad." Maybe. Um, I think if you are early in your career, if you are just starting out, this can be your option. If you are early in your mid-career, it could be your option. If you're later in mid-career, senior career, you need to network your way into a job. The reality is, senior level jobs are rarely, if ever, advertised. If they are, it's after they've already figured out who they want to hire and they're just doing a tick box exercise to say that they've talked to three people. I'm sorry, that is the truth. So if you are early or mid-career, one thing that if you are going to respond to job ads, be fast. All of the understanding that I have and all of the work that I've done in figuring out things about this, everything is pointed to answering a job ad within the first 24 hours. I know, crazy speed, but this is why AI is great because it can help you already have a master CV ready when you see a job ad, be able to tailor it really quickly to that ad and then submit. And again, why 24 hours? This feels like horrible. Here's the reality. Job ads in 2025, any specific job ad is getting several hundred applicants. The recruiters are often looking at this deluge of applicants, and they are saying, okay, when I get to the five quality applicants, I'm stopping. I can't look at the rest. So those five quality applicants could be in the first 100, could be in the first 50, could be in the first 10. And then they stop. They stop looking. You'll keep applying, but they're not looking at your resume. And if you're lucky, their applicant tracking system, their ATS, will tell you a month later, sorry, we went with somebody else, or you didn't get the job. So just be really careful and clear that if you are applying to job ads, you have to be really, really fast. So I'll give you some tricks to how to do that. But if you are late mid-career to senior, be thinking about networking because networking is how you're going to get a job. Okay, with that, let's go have some fun with ChatGPT. So here you can see what I did, how I started this all. I actually asked ChatGPT to look at the common key themes and keywords from job ads. And I picked three communications job ads. I'm not a communications professional. I don't know if you are, but the whole idea here is I was just picking an example that you can work with versus thinking that, you personally have to be a communications person. But this is where I want you to be thinking about what are the key themes and keywords common to these three job ads, and then put in the links to the job ads. Or you can upload the PDF of the job ads. The point being here is that you need to be thinking about what are the key themes and keywords of the job ads. By the way, keep putting questions in the chat. I'll get to the questions as they become relevant to this conversation. Okay, so why key themes and why keywords? Key themes tells you what they're thinking about, what they want. And this is your opportunity to say, do I really want to do that? Is that something that matters to me? Or is that something aligned with what I've done in the past? They're going to be asking for these key concepts. You have to be ready to respond to them. And here's a great question, like strategic communications planning. If you don't have the phrase strategic communications planning in your resume or cover letter, the automated tracking system will not, applicant tracking system, sorry, will not bring you up to for the recruiter to look at. And you have to understand the recruiter, they post the job ad, they don't look at it, they come back and there's 150 people already in the queue. They're going to tell the ATS, pick out the top 20 and I'll look at the top 20. If one of the key themes in the job ad is strategic communication planning, the ATS is going to look for strategic communication planning in the resume and cover letter. If it doesn't find it, you're not going to be in that short list. You're not going to be reviewed by the recruiter, and your entire effort is for naught. Then keywords. Here are keywords that you should be using in your job, in your resume and cover letter when you are talking about this specific job, when you're applying to this specific job. And you don't have to have all of these keywords. You don't have to have the keywords exactly like this, but they should be really, really close. If it's not strategic communications, maybe it's strategic communication. But it should not be communications for strategic growth. That is not the same phrase, and the ATS won't pick it up. So again, this is interesting thing. And you can get really detailed in your prompt to ChatGPT. I know someone said that they did a Gen AI training and they did prompt engineering. You can get really crazy. I kind of keep it pretty simple because I want the key themes. I want to make sure my resume has those, my cover letter has those keywords. By the way, you should also be going over and thinking, does your LinkedIn profile have those keywords and those key phrases? By the way, um, cross-functional teams. I'd never heard of this phrase before. I'd never used this phrase before, but I saw that cross-functional teams was in every job application, sorry, job ad I was looking at. And I said, okay, that's the new buzzword. Guess what? In my header on LinkedIn, I am leading cross-functional teams to success. Ugh, but hey, that's how you get the job. All right. This tells a bunch of other things, fun things, what you can do. I took it to the next step and I said, analyze my CV and create a ranking of myself to these jobs. Now, I expect my ranking to be pretty low because I'm not a communications person. ChatGPT, on the other hand, is going to be very positive. It wants you to like it, so it's going to say nice things to you. So here again, notice we have some key themes coming back, some keywords. And as a scoring table, 1 to 5, oh, that's so nice, ChatGPT. You think I'm a 5 on strategic communications. Awesome. Media and public relations, giving me a 3 is being nice. I don't have media or public relations concepts. So a lot of these things, mission value fit can be high, but a lot of these other things aren't so good. And give you a great one. If it's a score out of 30, you should be, if you're not 27, 28, 29, not sure you're going to get the interview because the competition is that strong. But it does tell me that director of organizational communications is the best role that I could have. Um, so there's an interesting question in the chat. How to know if these jobs are not ghost jobs? That is a great one. So let's go look at Director of Communications, the Global Fund for a New Economy. Um, if we look here, this is the Global Fund for New Economy's web actual job um, site. So is it real? Did they post this just to see who's out there who could be a director of communications? Do they already have a director of communications in mind and they just posted this so they can get a bunch of applications and say, yes, we looked at least 3 and the person we already had in mind is the best person? Um, don't know. That's the hard one. I would say that the more senior the position, the more likelihood that this is not going to get you a job, that you will have to have networked your way into the job. Um, Something like an associate one, this could be something where you apply to and get in. So Pew Trust, this is Pew. Is it real? Do they really want to hire this role? Are they just doing it to pretend and make their staff happy? Who knows? That's just a lot of institutional drama. Um, One person asked, are there any other generative AI systems that will be a harsher critic than ChatGPT? Uh, no, they all want you to please them, but you can say, take the persona of a critical HR manager. Um, be very strict in your review. So you can actually tell it that as before you start asking questions, and it'll be more strict. Um, and that is one way you can do it. You can tell it to take a persona and you can tell it to be a jerk, and it will be a jerk because it follows directions. So that's one way to make the ChatGPT persona a little bit more mean. Okay. One thing I did, I asked it explain how I can cover any gaps. And I think this is really clear or cool because it'll tell you the gaps. Where are you missing? I would do this multiple times to a resume as you're refining it before you submit it, just to try to reduce the all the ways that it says that you're not like here, no direct writing samples or portfolio links included. So it tells me I should include some portfolio links or a writing sample, and that would eliminate this gap. See? Oh yeah, even tells you what to do. I've written ICT work since 2008, so I have a ton of content I can put there, but it's telling me that that's what I should do. So here are ways to position yourself. I mean, I love this. It really goes into detail. Okay. Um, Now, ChatGPT and other I love them. I think of them as my overeager graduate assistant. You can ask them questions again and again and all kinds of variety of questions, and they will just sit there and answer. Doesn't get tired, doesn't want a vacation, it doesn't tell you you have to pay more. Well, if you have an account, I have an account. So, one thing I'm going to skip down, one thing that's really cool to do is what prompt should I use? So you can ask it to tell you the prompt that you should use. And, it will think a bit and tell you a prompt. And then here's the secret. Here's the secret. Um, you can ask it to improve the prompt, and it will go and tell you even a deeper prompt. So, you know, have fun, go to town. You can have a multi-page prompt, and maybe that'll help. And if not, you just start a new chat and it forgets. It's like a goose. It's a whole new day. Okay. Um, if you were mid to senior, um, you should be thinking about networking your way in the sense of we're going to still go with the communications director idea. Go to LinkedIn and ask LinkedIn for people and first connections and see who you are connected to that is director of communications. The idea here is, let's say that I actually want to work for Pew. So let's see if I know anybody who is a communications director at Pew. And we might have to do this to make sure that um, Pew Charitable Trust. Is this Pew Charitable Trust or is this um, Pew Charitable Trust? So here is someone who is a digital director at the Pew Charitable Trust. And so I would reach out to her and ask her, so what does someone who was a digital director at the Pew Charitable Trust, what did they do? What was that job like? What was it about? And the idea is that she will give me some information about this. And then I can use that to understand if I want the job. So the first thing you reach out for an informational interview is, do you really want the job? So you ask them, it's called a informational interview. You are interviewing them. You are not talking, you're asking them, and they're telling you about it. Second, by engaging with them, they are learning that you really want to work at the Pew Charitable Trust as a communications director. And last but not least, you are asking Kate, so you're great at Pew Charitable Trust. Who are three people who've worked there in the past or maybe work there now that I could speak to about the role of communication director? This isn't for you to say, and I'm hoping to get hired there as a communications director. It is for you to understand better the role and network your way into understanding more about the role. The dream is Kate says, "Oh, actually, I know that there's an opening at Pew for a communications director, and I know the hiring manager. Let me connect you, or let me put a word in for you to get them to talk to you." That's your goal, not you saying, "Hey, Kate, you know somebody at Pew's hiring for a communications director? Can you connect me?" Do that. She's going to say, "Go talk to HR," and just, eh. But this is the goal. You want her to be excited about talking to you about this role. Now, let's look down and see, do I know anybody else? So If only LinkedIn was better. Here is a consultant that I know. Oh, and then you could also go second degree connection. Oh, Senior Director of Communications. This is her current role. Wow. She is probably closely linked to the Communications Director role. But I don't know her directly. I know other people who know her. So I'm going to reach out to Tim or Andrew or other connections and say, I'd love to talk to Kimberly Escobar about the communication activities at Pew Charitable Trust. Could you please connect me to her? And here's a little bit about me, and here's a little bit about what I hope to learn from her. The idea is that you want Tim to be able to copy paste and forward it on and say, hey, Kimberly, I'd really appreciate it if you talk to Wayan about job ads. Or sorry, excuse me. I really would appreciate if you talk to Wayan about what communications means to Pew Charitable Trust. Notice I did not tell Tim, oh, I'm looking for the communications role. Can Kimberly hire me for that? You are trying to understand, do you want the role? Second, you are alerting Kimberly that you're interested in the role, and that is by your questions and your interest in communications at Pew, not at, oh, I would love this role. And third, you are asking Kimberly, so who are other people in the communication space, maybe at Pew or in other organizations that I could speak to? Because you want to build that connection with her. Now, I went and asked ChatGPT, I would like to have an informational interview with um, Natasha. And this is Natasha. I just picked her randomly because she's a senior communications director, which sounds like something I'm thinking of. She was at the Department of State. She may still be there. She may have gone. But the idea is that she's had similar understandings and experiences that I have. So I can have a relationship, a conversation with her based on a strong experience and shared relationship. So I went and asked ChatGPT, I'd like to do an informational interview her. What commonalities do you have? Write a draft email. What questions should I ask? So here are multiple different commonalities we have. And here's a draft outreach in an email. Now, you are not going to copy paste this. You're going to copy it. You're going to think about it. You're going to put it in your own words. You're going to make it something that's relevant that you want to discuss with her. Then you're going to send it out. Please, dear God, for the love of God, never copy paste anything out of ChatGPT for any effort at all. This is a guidance. This is draft. You are a human. Add your humanity to it. And then here are 10 questions I can ask Natasha and what I'll learn from them. Now, the point is, I would never ask her, oh, Natasha, what drew you into communication strategy and philanthropy and what keeps you excited about the work? That sounds like a computer talking. But I'm going to use that question as an impetus for me to figure out a question I'm going to ask her in our conversation because now I understand why I should be asking that question. Um, Someone asked, why should someone on LinkedIn respond to what would be a massive request for informational interviews? Um, Here is the idea. You are not asking random people. You are asking friends and friends of friends. So I am connected to Natasha. Um, and I'm willing to bet, yep, she connected in May 2025. So she connected after I was laid off, and she is also probably concerned or laid off herself. So I can ask her and do an informational interview with her because she has a connection. She wanted to be connected with me. We have past history of work together in similar situations. So I can talk with her as a friend, as a peer. This is key. Then I can ask, like, for example, where were we over here? Kimberly. I don't know Kimberly, so I am not going to do a blind outreach to Kimberly. If any of you have ever gotten a blind outreach, you know what you do. You delete that because you're like, who the hell is Wayan? I'm Kimberly. I don't know Wayan. So I talk to Tim, Andrew, our three other connections, and I ask them to do an intro to Kimberly for me. So Kimberly knows Tim. Kimberly gets an email from Tim, and Tim says, Kimberly, I'd really like it if you met with Wayan. Now, Kim has a social obligation to Tim to talk to me, but I would never just outreach to Kimberly directly. And that is the key thing here. Always, always have a warm introduction. Always have an introduction where you're going from someone you know to someone you don't know. Don't just go to someone you don't know. When I get those, I delete those. If I don't know the person, eh. If I know them, if there's some connection, sure, I'll chat. That's the difference. Um, all right. And it's great. Like you can ask ChatGPT, what are 10 questions to ask Natasha? Or here's what I like to say. Um, what are 10 interesting and unique questions that are not common Google searches? Because there's nothing more annoying than asking a question to her that are um, something where she answers like, well, you could read that on the website. So here are 10 more ones that go beyond the typical Google searches. And so the idea here again is gives you more in depth to be asking questions. And I love this. ChatGPT just goes and goes and goes. So this is an idea how you can informational interview. And the whole point here is you want to use AI to help you have the human to human connection, the authentic human connection. Because once you have an authentic human connection, what happens is tomorrow, next week, next month, Kimberly is in a meeting at Pew, and someone says, "Oh wow, we've just got a new award. Our Steve left. We need to hire somebody to work on this project." You want Kimberly to go, "Oh, I know the perfect person. I was speaking to this guy, Wayan. He would be great in this role. We should talk to him." So that is how you should be thinking about these informational interviews. These are your advocates in future conversations. It's a long game. I know it's annoying, but it's a very successful game. Uh, Case in point, I'll take my case in point. I got lost my job, as Drew was saying, July 31st. Sorry, January 31st. It was very crushing, soul crushing. February, I was mentally unavailable. I was just very angry. March, I started doing informational interviews. Um, and I started with my initial idea. I said, I've got this great idea. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Uh, March, I was like, I have this great idea. I'm going to be a digital product. No, actually, I'm going to use generative AI to help social enterprises raise money. I did informational interviews. People told me, Wayne, that's a really horrible idea. You'd be bad at that. Don't do that. I'm like, all right. So then I said, okay, I thought a bit. I'll be a digital product manager in a non-tech company. Perfect role for me. Started talking to people, and they were really clear that I would not be a good digital product manager in a tech company. I'm like, okay, good. And then they said, you should be talking to private sector industry. And I did. And private sector people said, well, we have marketing. Are you a marketing person? Are you just trying to get um, digital communications like TikToks and whatnot? I'm like, nope, that's not me. And the IT people said, look, we deal with IT stuff and you're not an IT person. So I was caught in this place where big companies would not hire me because I wasn't a little specific fit. So I was like, okay, I have to work in small companies. So I talked to small companies, and it turns out a friend of a friend reached out and said, Wayan, I run a small digital health organization, and I'm looking for someone who knows technology, knows development, and knows how to convey these ideas to funders and to government and to staff. I said, wow, I could do that. We had a great conversation. We had a few different interviews. I got the job. It was never posted online. And that's something to think about. When you are going for a mid to senior level role, a lot of these are not posted online. You just see the announcement on LinkedIn, ta-da, I've got a new job. And you don't realize that everything underneath is people, it's happening without it being posted. All right, I'm going to go back to have some more fun with the technology aspect here. All right. So for those of you who are following along and want the 7 steps laid out, um, really, you want to start with thinking about your career accomplishments. What did you do before? What did you like to do? You want to identify your marketable skills. What do I want to do? This is where I was thinking, I'll be a digital product manager because I want to choose a role and then an industry and then the company. So, what industry would be good and what companies should I do? And then I built my professional network using LinkedIn. And oh, I want to show you this really cool tool. Happenstance is the search that LinkedIn should do. So I connected my Gmail and my LinkedIn. By the way, I don't know the privacy policy for Happenstance, but at the time I did this, I was unemployed, and so I had nothing to lose. And maybe here I can say communications. I'll get that in a second. So the really cool thing about Happenstance is you can ask it questions that are much more general than LinkedIn, and it'll go find people for you to connect with. So it's connected, it's looking at my LinkedIn connections and the connections of friends that I have, and it's trying to find people that are I can do informational interviews with. And it's pretty cool. Like you can ask Happenstance, I want to know who are communication directors in the Midwest. Pop quiz. What states are in the Midwest? Is Michigan in the Midwest? Is Ohio in the Midwest? Is South Dakota in the Midwest? Is Minnesota in the Midwest? I mean, some people say yes and other people say no. But that's the cool thing about happenstance is you can ask it general questions like that, and it's really good at figuring out, okay, what does the Midwest mean? Or I like to ask it Mid-Atlantic states, since DC, Maryland, Virginia is part of the Mid-Atlantic. You can figure out Mid-Atlantic. So here we go. Director of Digital Strategy, Manager of Communications. I think we saw Natasha earlier. Um, Digital Director, we did find Kate earlier. So here, Ted Chamberlain. And I know him through Scott Beal. So if we go look up Ted, I don't know him directly, but actually I have 10, 11 mutual connections, and he's the director of digital strategy. So he is somebody I could do an informational interview with to learn more about Pew and how to manage with Pew. So that is the cool thing about happenstance. And he's there right now, 11 years. He's been there forever. All right. But he would be an interesting person to talk to about a communications role at Pew. And let's see, I did one. Here's a great one. Um, Digital transformation director in healthcare companies in the mid-Atlantic states, right? I mean, come on, mid-Atlantic. Do we consider West Virginia part of mid-Atlantic? Do we consider Delaware? Or what about Pennsylvania? So it's nice. It goes and looks up and finds different people that you can connect with. So, here is Katya, and we can see how am I connected. Ooh, she's a top voice. That's special. And I'm connected with her through 32 people. So that's a way that I could get on Katya's radar. Though, to be fair, she has 1.2 million followers and a top voice. She may or may not respond even to Peter or Paul or anybody else that asked to have her talk to me. So, um, one person asked, "What if no connections to people who? What if you don't have any connections to people?" Okay, well here's a good one. Let's talk about car mechanics. I don't know. I don't think I'm connected to any car mechanics. Um, People. I'm not really connected to anybody, but I can say I want to do second degree connections, not just first, but second degree connections. Um, and chief car connoisseur. There you go. Um, Driving global heart and vascular equity. I don't think they're a car mechanic. Uh, but here are other people that talk about cars in their work. So this is the interesting concept. I can get to this chief car connoisseur, not directly, but through Michael Barnes. And last I checked, I think we are all connected to Kevin Bacon in 6 degrees or less. So within 2 degrees of connection, you should be able to connect with people. And look at this guy. He's such a car connoisseur. His photograph is in front of a Porsche building. So, I don't know car mechanics, but I definitely know this car connoisseur. Though he's semi-retired, so congrats to him for being a car connoisseur. But look at this guy. He is seriously a car connoisseur. All right. Um, so this is the informational interview concept, and you start working your way in by informational interviewing with people. You've got whatchamacallit, ChatGPT helping you here with doing those informational interviews. You do the informational interviews and you learn, yes, I really do want to be a communications director. Here is a very cool thing to do. I've gone to Perplexity and um, let's look at my library here. And here is an idea. Look at this job ad. What are similar roles to this in other industries? Which ones are hiring? How much do they pay? What are core prerequisites? Review the CV. How does the CV match the job ads? So here is someone who wanted to have a role at the Gates Foundation, and then looking at all the different roles that could be relevant to that and the landscape, how much they pay and their different levels, and location premiums and the companies. So if you put your dream into Perplexity, you can get a lot of information understanding about your role or similar roles through Perplexity's research button. So it's this button here in the middle, research. Um, and I actually love Perplexity for this because ChatGPT is great for general work. And if you direct it to links, it'll do wonders. Perplexity is great for general search because it is set up as first and foremost a search engine. So this is actually one of the things that is really cool about it. So it'll go out and find things. Um, toot, 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 toot. Here we go. Act as a career coach. I'm transitioning from digital development to this role. Tell me more about what I could be thinking about. And here it gives me a career transition report, a role analysis, gives me ideas of things that I could do, different sectors that are hiring those different roles, um, and compensation analysis. Come on, more money, more money. But tells you a lot. Equity compensation, I never even thought about that. Top employers. So Perplexity is really good at giving you this understanding of the lay of the land. So as you're doing your informational interviews and you're learning about specific roles and companies, you can use um, Perplexity to go deep in making sure that that is a company or a role that you're excited about, and then help you figure out how to figure out to get into those roles. All right, I'm going to share this, all these prompts with you afterwards because these prompts are really great at helping you go step by step through all of these and prompts you can use to improve your um, applications, your LinkedIn's, your cover letters. And by the way, yes, I wrote a few different toolkits to help you. In fact, I wrote 4 different toolkits to help you. So that can help you get a job as you need. But the real fun is, you just gotta have fun with AI and experiment with it and see what happens. And yes, I copied somebody else's prompt to create this ChatGPT image. And yes, that QR code even works, which was quite fun making it happen. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. Do people have questions, thoughts, concepts? Um,
We had a question, kind of going back to some fundamentals
sure.
on cover letters.
Mm,
One page is 2 or 3 pages too much. How tailored should a cover letter be to the position?
okay. This is a secret I learned when I talked to a bunch of recruiters, hiring managers. So I running my site Career Pivot, which is mypivot.substack.com. So in writing this site, it was really interesting. I've had great conversations with the recruiters. They've told me things they would never tell an employee. And one of the interesting aspects, so recruiters spend 5, 7 seconds looking at your CV, your resume. Sorry, your resume. Your resume should be 2 pages. If you're going for a senior level role, maybe three, but seriously, just two. Um, and then the idea is you should be writing your resume for the ATS first, because you need to get past the ATS, then for a human second, because then the recruiter will review the top 10 applications. They will not look at your cover letter. The recruiter is not looking at your cover letter. What happens when the recruiter does the shortlist and say, here are the 3 or 5 people we want the hiring manager to review. Then the hiring manager is going to read your cover letter because the cover letter tells the hiring manager why they should care about you. The resume says you are capable of doing the job. The cover letter says why you care about that job. So the hiring manager will read the cover letter. The team that the hiring manager works with to hire you is going to read the cover letter. So write your cover letter to the hiring manager, not the recruiter. Your resume is telling the recruiter, yes, I can do this job. Your cover letter is telling the hiring manager, I'm dreaming of helping you succeed. And yeah, 1 page. I mean, if you're gonna really push it, a page and a half, but I would say do the cover letter as 1 page, and at the top of your resume, just have one paragraph that says why the recruiter should be thinking about you. Um, and actually, Drew, I can give me a second, and I will find my own resume to show people what I'm talking about. Ooh, if there's other questions or whatnot, I can
Sure.
do
One of
that
the
as well.
others was just regarding you talked a lot about Chat GPT, you talked about Perplexity and Happenstance. There are other systems out there, DeepSeek, right? That's the Chinese AI. Other besides Chat GPT that you would recommend? Or do you
Well,
think Chat GPT's the better one, especially for cost and whatnot?
I would say this. There's Google Gemini, there is Microsoft Copilot, there is OpenAI, ChatGPT, there's Perplexity, there are DeepSeek and whatever else they come up with tomorrow. They all work, Claude out of by Anthropic. They all kind of work very similar. My um, I would suggest focusing on one, getting really good at understanding the positives and negatives of one, maybe two, but you don't have to do 47 of them. They're all really similar and they're all, converging as fast as possible with whoever's in the lead. So, like, I personally like ChatGPT because I find it easy to work with and I have a bunch of questions and I've been dealing with it a long time. At the same time, I like Perplexity for real-time search. And if I have to write something, Claude is amazing. I've trained it to write a first draft that is close to the way I write. Now, first draft, never copy paste from any AI tool anywhere else. But if you're using Claude and you find it's better for your resume, use Claude. If you use Gemini and it's easier and you're more comfortable and it's free for you because of your company or whatever, use Gemini. So, Drew, in that sense, six one way, half a dozen the other, three plus two in a third way. By the way, I want to share my resume to show you what I'm talking about. So this is my master CV. So this is a CV that is multi-pages long with a whole bunch of detail. Um, it is not what I submit. I tailored it to the job ads I submitted for. Um, and the idea is this is the summary that I start with. and I'll add or subtract to this summary based on that job ad. And then, I talk about my different work. Here's something interesting. So I didn't work for USAID. I was at USAID. I was a Jefferson Consulting contractor. Notice how I did that. I didn't lead with Consulting contractor because who the hell knows what Jefferson Consulting is? But I'm not lying. I'm telling you how I worked there. And then this is great. At Deloitte, I was a specialist leader. What the hell is a specialist leader? No one understands what that is. So in parentheses, I put in strategic digital leader so someone reading my resume would understand what this is in real life versus what Deloitte's random term is for this role.
There's one other comment about how much information to put on LinkedIn in terms of, comfort level with what you're sharing.
Yeah, I guess I may be more on the liberal side of that. I would put it this way. If you are unemployed, what do you have to lose? You know, you're already unemployed. The money's already leaving your account every month. Um, if adding a little bit of extra content on LinkedIn gets you hired a week faster or a month faster, that's thousands of dollars difference in your life. That's also why I think about like paying for generative AI subscription. If my $20 a month ChatGPT bill gets me a job 1 week faster, it paid for the entire year of ChatGPT. Um, by the way, I want to actually, if for a few minutes here, I want to go back and I want to talk specifically about LinkedIn. And I'm going to use my own LinkedIn, if I can find it, my own LinkedIn to go through quickly on. So LinkedIn, you may think of it as a social media. Do not. It is a recruiter database. Recruiters pay tens of thousands of dollars a year to search, and they search just like I searched. They don't search, they don't see this um whatchamacallit, user interface, they see their own, but literally their search, they're going to search for things like digital transformation, what of it? Um, cross-functional team lead, function FUNCTI, functional team lead. I think that's how you spell these things. Nope, I can't spell to save my life. Um, and then they are going to search for people like this. Here's the deal. If you don't have digital transformation and cross-functional team lead in your um, profile, and you do not have your profile as open to work for recruiters, you will not show up. They will not know you exist as someone they could hire. Now, there is a special concept here. You can go open to and finding a new job. Here are your choices, recruiters only and all LinkedIn members. You can tag recruiters only, and if you do that, you will not get the green banner. I would strongly suggest if you are looking for a job, you should have recruiters only on. Otherwise, what are you doing on LinkedIn? Then the other cool thing is this is your most important real estate. This should talk about the job you want to have, not your old job title, but what you want to be doing. Notice this is what I wanted to be doing. In fact, it's what I'm doing now. That is how you get hired for that. You talk about what you want to be working on. And then notice the about, the first four sentences show up for a casual user. You have 2,600 characters. All of this is what LinkedIn uses in their search algorithm. So here you should be talking about the key themes that you noticed and the keywords that you found when you analyze the job ads. By the way, each job entry, you have 2,000 characters. Use all 2,000 characters. Be telling me what you did. Well, I wasn't there that long, so okay. But tell me what you did. Use the characters as much as possible and be talking about money and numbers. Each line should be a whatchamacallit, a success metric. Not just like I went to meetings and blah, 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 but like what actually came about it. This is how you show up in search and how recruiters can find you. And then this is the best one. All you have to do is post once a week to be in the top 1% of all LinkedIn people. I post a little bit more than once a week. I post about once to twice a day. But then, at the same time, I have 35,000 impressions and 265 people following me. And oh, right, I have 49,000 followers. So you don't have to be that crazy. You don't have to think about it as a social network, but you do need to have a profile that talks about yourself, a profile picture, some kind of background, some basic information here. There are people that have just profiles with nothing on them. Um, so I don't know this person at all, but apparently she's a senior environmental strategist and writer. Um, but she needs to be saying more if she wants to have a better job because she worked at AID for 12 years. So she's out of practice of how to talk about herself on a format like LinkedIn.
So Wayne, someone
Yes.
asked if LinkedIn Premium is worth it as a job seeker.
I bought LinkedIn Premium thinking that my post would be more viral and that I would get some really cool LinkedIn Premium stuff for my profile. Eh, it is not worth a penny. Do not. There's a If someone gets LinkedIn Premium, they get 10 free accounts that they can give out to other people. Use the free account. Don't pay for LinkedIn Premium. I did. I feel like a sucker for it. It's like 200 or 300 bucks that I didn't have at the time. I'm still pissed off. Can you tell? So don't pay for LinkedIn Premium, please. It is a waste of money.
It does a lot of they do offer it with like a free month or two to try it out. And like you, I did the free trial, and they try to use their AI to you
Oh, the AI is
the
horrible.
job in this, but like you, I didn't find it as
No.
yeah. But another question was, you had mentioned about sending your information to recruiters only, but then you also talked about linking to first, second, and third network connections. Can you
Okay,
clarify that a little bit?
sure. I never said send your links to recruiter. If there is a job ad that you're interested in, you can send a tailored resume and cover letter to that job ad. These days, if you're not within the first 24 hours, you're wasting your time. Now, second, independent of that, you should be doing informational interviews. You should be networking. Please, please be networking. In networking, that is where you think about your first degree connections first. You start talking to them, you use them to connect with secondary connections and onward and outward. The goal is that you may be applying for jobs, specific jobs that really call to you. So maybe once a week, twice a week, but spending the majority of your time focused on who can you network with that is somewhere around the goal that you want to have, the job that you want to have. So your number one effort and the number one return on effort is networking. Sending in job ads, keep in practice, something will happen. These days, getting a job through a job ad, responding to a job ad is something like playing the lottery. And, somebody wins. It's never been me. Um, but don't put all your financial job search eggs in the strictly the applying to job ads basket, please. Hopefully that is explains it.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. I think that's all the questions. What we're going to do is one of the other questions we got is this is being recorded, and we will
Yep.
share the recording in case somebody missed anything as we go along. And then weigh in if will send me anything you have. I will send out to the Scottish Rite. We'll send out to attendees information and anything that was presented during the call.
Sure. I'll forward I'll do whatchamacallit, the presentation that the general long presentation that gives a lot of prompts and support for people. I will create that as a PDF and so that you all can share it.
That'd be great. Thank you very much, Wayne. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time. Congrats on the new job. That's
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah.
Traveling like crazy again. And oh my God, I want to be really clear. 3.5 months of unemployment. I was living my world, my greatest nightmare. My greatest nightmare was be unemployed. And I've worked for years not to be unemployed. And that was my whole goal in life is never to be unemployed. And I was unemployed for 3.5 months and it was horrible. People that are still unemployed, I feel you. People that are worried they could be unemployed, man, it's emotional trauma, period. Full stop.
Yeah, so I work in marketing. It's something you talked about, and unfortunately, marketing. I looked back at my resume. I think I've been laid off from 80% of the jobs, and the other 20% is I left to go to the job that I then got laid off from. Um, so unfortunately, I'm a little more used to it. It doesn't change the fact that you end up feeling like it is your fault or
Yeah,
responsible or if you'd only done this or that. And the reality is, and you're just a number to a company, or unfortunately, if you were USAID, you're not even a number. You're just a sweep off of I guess a greater, larger number. But the point is, it's not actually you, it's them, right? It's
yeah.
being in a relationship in that sense. um we're going to move over to start talking a little bit and close out um tonight's webinar with a look at the state healthcare insurance markets in Virginia, Maryland, and DC. um DC, our representative from that agency is currently in India and having an issue logging in for some reason. So we'll get to that. And Sabri, I saw your question, and we'll try to get that answered for you as well. Um, I do want to say thank you to those representatives from the really the two states and the one district who are with us tonight, um, and can share with us some information um, about their state markets. One thing I want to remind everybody is, in the US, of course, when you lose your job, your healthcare is tied to your work. And so then you have to look, one option is to go out onto what's called the state market or through the Affordable Care Act. So tonight we have from Virginia, Dan Sullivan, from Maryland, Jenny Garrison, and Keyshawn Puda, who is traveling and trying to call in and join us on the call. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sullivan from Virginia's healthcare agency. The URL is up here at the moment. It is marketplace.virginia.gov.
I'm with Enroll Virginia. Uh, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan entity that helps individuals and small businesses obtain healthcare coverage through the health insurance marketplace at the Virginia Insurance Marketplace and with Medicaid and Famous and applying for financial assistance for insurance programs, deductibles, and hospital bills. Our program is paid for by a grant from the Virginia Healthcare Benefit Exchange and administered by Virginia Poverty Law Center. The contents of what I'm going to give you here are actually the responsibility of me and do not necessarily represent the official views of the Health Benefits Exchange. And the first thing I'm going to say is that if you do a Google search for healthcare, it's very likely that the top return is going to be healthcare.com. Never go there. That is a site that collects your PII, and within 7 seconds, you'll start getting more phone calls and emails than you can ever live with. Go to one of the representatives like me, and we will help you and come from a different place than those individuals do. Now, the most important thing to do is to gather the information that you're going to need to do your health benefits search. And if you're offered COBRA or TCC, the continuation of benefits, you need to gather that up. I don't know how simple that's going to be. particularly for the individuals who have their HR function at the State Department, because you're going to need the information of what COBRA and continuation of benefits is going to cost. Find out what might be available to you through a spouse's or a parent's offer if you're that young from their employment, because you're going to need that information in order to compare and determine whether or not you can get subsidized coverage in the marketplace. Go to the Virginia Health Insurance Marketplace and then go to the Virginia Medicaid program. I'm going to talk to those in a little bit of detail here and where to go. And there are going to be individuals who qualify for Medicare, and they're going to age into it during the period that they're not employed. If they're going to continue on, you need to determine and get enrolled in Medicare right away if that gap is going to occur. Because if you don't do that, even if you go back to work, you're going to be penalized for the rest of your coverage period, which is your life, for the premium for Part B of Medicare. Right. The Virginia marketplace itself, easy to reach. Here is the information for reaching them by phone. It's very likely that if you call Cover Virginia, they will assist you in setting up your account. They will assist you in filling out the application. They probably won't give you very much guidance beyond that and refer you to a navigator, a sister, or an agent broker. There is a search tool on the marketplace for finding that assistance. You can apply online with the marketplace, but if this is your first time finding healthcare coverage on your own, it really is good to have somebody to ride along with you. And then you can meet with in person or virtually assisters or agents, and you can find those individuals on the marketplace site by going there and searching for them and find one that's local to you. Now, the thing about the marketplace is that it is a one-stop shop. You can apply at any time of the year after the loss of coverage. And in fact, in the case of knowing that coverage is going to end, there is a special enrollment period. And that special enrollment period is 60 days prior to and after the expected loss of coverage. Now, unlike COBRA and TCC, if you wait beyond the time that that coverage ends, you won't be able to have retroactive coverage to the beginning of that gap. So it's important to get on this pretty quickly. But at the marketplace, you apply for financial assistance, you compare plan options, and you can enroll in a plan. There's a tool there that allows you to look at all the plans, and there are ways to find what providers are covered, what is in the drug formulary, and the rest of that. If you do a timely application, there's no waiting for coverage to begin. Now, to get assistance in the marketplace, your annual income has to be greater than the Medicaid eligibility, which is 138% of the federal poverty level. And right now, because the IRA is still in effect, the Reduction Act, Inflation Reduction Act, there is no cap to the point at which your income disqualifies you for coverage. That changes next year in 2026 because of the big, beautiful bill. Notice that the qualification for children and pregnant women is a little bit higher or significantly higher. So what you can end up having is in one household, individuals that are covered in the marketplace and individuals that are covered by Medicaid, FAMOS, or CHIP, as it's called in other places. For Virginia Medicaid itself, if you know that you're going to have no income, you can apply for Medicaid through the marketplace. The marketplace will screen you and refer you and may even make a determination, but it's probably better to go directly to the state. And again, assisters will meet with you and help you with this. Agents and brokers probably will hand you off because there's not any commission involved with enrollment in Medicaid itself. You can apply online. It is not a very good tool. You can apply through the marketplace itself, and you can apply by paper. That may, in some cases, be the best way to apply, particularly if someone in the household is pregnant, because the processing time that's allowed by federal statute is 45 days for Joe six pack, but for a pregnant individual, it's 7 days. Now, here you see that the income levels are listed as monthly. That's because, unlike the marketplace that uses the annual income to determine eligibility, Medicaid uses the monthly income based upon your household size. And again, you can see the difference between Medicaid expansion individuals 19 through 64 and children and pregnant women. If your income is going to drop during a month below these levels, despite what you've made already in the year, that is going to qualify you for Medicaid going forward. And believe me, once you've gone Medicaid, you'll never want to have anything else. If you can and qualify for it, do that. Once you find employment and you become disqualified for Medicaid, that opens you up to another special enrollment period in other coverage. Here are there's the contact information, and I understand that Drew is going to pass the slides out. I've put links in here so that you can contact these individuals and organizations to get more information. We are more than happy to discuss anything with you. Please take advantage of this benefit, both in or including the district, Maryland, and DC and Virginia. One point is that if you go to healthcare.gov, that is the federal marketplace. It's going to redirect you to where you live anyway.
Next is we're going to talk with Jenny Garrison, who is with the Maryland State Health Connection, to talk a little bit about how you can get information for healthcare if you live in Maryland.
In Maryland, I actually work for the Maryland Health Benefit Exchange. We are considered a quasi-government agency. We're managed by a board of directors. We administer the Maryland Health Connection, which is our state's version of the health insurance marketplace. This is a snapshot of our website. I also like to recommend our mobile app because part of the application process, as was just discussed, does require uploading documents. And using the mobile app really makes that a lot easier, especially if you don't have, a scanner available to you. So our website is marylandhealthconnection.gov. And to answer one of the prior questions, our call center will never cold call you. We only manage calls that we receive inbound. So I would, kind of echo the sentiment of make sure that you're looking for that verified lock symbol when you go to the website. We're a .gov website. So it is, there definitely are imitation sites that you want to be careful for. So if you need health insurance in Maryland, check out Maryland Health Connection. One thing that I like to recommend is if you are unfortunately facing loss of job, which, we're seeing a lot of in Maryland, and I'm really sorry that you're going through that situation. We have a special enrollment period for 60 days from when you've lost your job-based health care. Our open enrollment period runs from November 1st to January 15th. So if you miss that 60-day window, you can come in the fall. And then also if you've lost your income and you don't have income through a partner or a spouse, you can enroll in Medicaid year round. You may want to consider doing an affidavit attesting when you lost your income to help that process. There's some other life changes like getting married, divorce, if you're new to Maryland. We have a couple easy enrollment programs where you can check a box on your tax form if you're uninsured or if you recently applied for unemployment. There's some boxes on your unemployment form that you can check, and that will prompt us to send you a letter about your eligibility based on your current income. In Maryland, the Medicaid program and the program for private plans is in the same system, which is marylandhealthconnection.gov. One thing I do like to recommend is that if you did lose your healthcare through your job, you will probably be offered COBRA, which allows you to keep the same plan that your job was giving you. But we see that it's really expensive because you have to keep paying the portion of COBRA that you were already paying for your healthcare while you were working. And then COBRA requires you to start paying the part that your employer was paying for you, or the job that was paying for you. So we see that COBRA costs can be really, really high. And our recommendation is at least get an estimate, whether you're in DC, Maryland, or Virginia. You should be able to go onto the site and get an estimate so you can compare plans and prices and make sure that, you know, especially as you're losing income, that you're really getting the best healthcare option for you. So, you know, just keep that in your mind. If you're going to go with COBRA, great, but maybe check out your options through your marketplace. And all of our plans are licensed through the state. We work closely with the Maryland Insurance Administration to manage that. We work with the biggest insurance companies in Maryland: Care First, Kaiser, United Healthcare, WellPoint. So, you know, it's likely that you could keep the same plan, or at least a really similar plan that you had through your job. We also offer financial assistance, and that is, you know, you can also always go directly to the insurance company for a health plan. But in Maryland, if you go through Maryland Health Connection, you can get the different forms of financial assistance that are available. Unless the federal government acts, some of the financial assistance will go away. So we are anticipating that costs across the board, whether you're in a marketplace plan or you have a private plan, all health insurance plans are going to go up. If the feds don't act on extending some of these tax credits. We've already seen the insurance companies have put in for significantly increased rates across the board. So I would also encourage you to use your health insurance plan now, knowing that costs are likely going to go up if you've been putting off a surgery or a procedure, or you just haven't been to the doctor. Now is really the time to take advantage of your healthcare plan. And as a reminder, all of our plans, you can no longer be denied getting an insurance plan if you have a pre-existing condition. So if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, a mental health issue, you will still be able to get a health plan through Maryland Health Connection. We also offer dental and vision plans as well. All of our plans cover free preventive services. So your annual checkup is free. A lot of your immunizations might also be free. Flu shots. I know my kids' immunizations are covered. Their well visits every year are also covered for free. And what you see on the screen are what we call our essential core benefits, which are also all included in plans. So the key things that everybody needs: prescription drugs, mental health care, substance abuse disorder treatment, emergency care, hospitalizations. This is all also available in much more detail on our website, and we do have quite a few ways that you can get help. I recommend working with an insurance broker. We have about 1,000 insurance brokers or insurance agents in Maryland that are licensed through us. You don't pay them, the insurance companies pay them a commission to help you. Their help to you is free. And they're not allowed to steer you in one company or another, but they will help you look at all the plans and your options and help you pick the best plan that, you know, is for you and your needs at this time. We also work with navigators who offer their assistance in person, and we do have a call center which offers their service in more than 200 languages as well. This is where our navigators are located. And again, their services are free as well. So there's about 1,500 people that will be able to help you for free in Maryland to get a health plan. And I'm also going to share my contact information, so you can always reach out to me if you're a Marylander and if you just want some help getting connected or finding somewhere to go.
Most of the details are similar state to state, especially states that do the Affordable Care Act themselves. Thank you, Drew, for the slide. And so basically, our health exchange is called DC Health Link, and that's dchealthlink.com. We have been working very hard to try to help people who are losing coverage. We'll be having a series of pop-ups in the community which will be libraries and like community centers that are conveniently located. So we hope to see you. And if you go to dchealthlink.com, you can also sign up for virtual enrollment, so you can enroll from home if that's more convenient for you. And a lot of people have been looking at, their dates of termination, and their dates that their health insurance will end, with the dates that they will be losing compensation, because all of those have bearing on, whether you should do Medicaid, whether you should do DC HealthLink. Even though that there's federal Medicaid changes and even maybe state Medicaid changes, those are for the future. For now, Medicaid can be a good option if you have zero income. Um, if you do have an income, and if our sisters will help you figure out what you qualify for in terms of financial assistance, and that happens all the time. It don't feel bad that you don't that your income may be changing from today till tomorrow to the next day. That's just the way it is. That's nobody's fault, and we are used to it, and we will help you figure it out. Like, this is what you should do now, and you could change to another plan later.